college student starts ice cream business on a small budget. Years later reaches billion-dollar revenue, starting as a student. Daniel Goetz spent $3.500 to make GoodPop an international ice cream brand, with $63 million in annual revenue. Competing with Unilever and Outshine. As a senior, Daniel Goetz spent nights cutting and blending fresh fruit, then freezing them into popsicles to sell to customers near the University of Texas at Austin. He fell in love with Mexican popsicles, called paletas, while visiting Mexico City with his college girlfriend. That's when the name GoodPop was born. Today, the Austin-based company's ice cream is sold in more than 10,000 locations across the United States, including Costco, Walmart and Whole Foods Market. GoodPop is on track to bring in more than $63 million in gross revenue by 2024. Goetz adding that the company has never taken outside funding. GoodPop has been profitable every year since its launch, except 2024. A company spokesperson said it is also unlikely to be profitable in 2025, after an unpopular product line is discontinued, but expects to return to profitability in 2026. Goetz built GoodPop with little industry experience or expertise, admitting he knew nothing about supply chains or the consumer packaged goods market, and spent years driving across Texas making deliveries to save money to build GoodPop. Goetz spent his first 4 years after graduation sleeping for free on friends' couches in Austin. He cuts his own fruit and freezes 80 popsicles an hour at a local store that allows him to use its kitchen after hours. We have this low-sugar, real fruit-based soft drink, and there's nothing like it on the market, Goetz said, adding, I'm taking every opportunity to introduce these products to Austinites and see if we're successful. A GoodPop mishap. Goetz's family has a history of entrepreneurship. His great-grandfather immigrated to the U.S. from Russia more than a century ago and sold ice on consignment from a pushcart. He then founded a grocery supply business in Houston in 1923, which grew into a multi-billion-dollar annual operation by 2014. When the Goetz family sold their stake, I was lucky enough to grow up in a family of entrepreneurs. But at the same time, I knew I had to make my mark in the world and do it myself, Goetz said. For GoodPop, he spent $3.500 on a sign, a cart, and the supplies to make and sell his first popsicles. That was money Goetz had saved from a lawn mowing business he started in high school. Goetz sold them for $2 a pop at local music festivals and farmers markets, using the proceeds to buy more ingredients. In October 2009, he spent 3 weeks making 18,000 popsicles to sell at the annual Austin City Limits Music Festival. Then, a rainstorm turned the festival into a cold, soggy mess. Of those 18,000, Goetz said, they only sold 4. I thought this would jumpstart the business and change everything, but we were left with 17.996 popsicles that I needed to figure out what to do with when I had no money left. Goetz rushed the popsicles to a cold storage facility, paid $50 a month to store them, and returned to school depressed. He recalls, a few months later, he cut his losses and gave them away for free at Austin's annual South by Southwest festival. Long hours and exhaustion to build a business. After graduating from college, Goetz couldn't shake the idea for GoodPop, but the only thing left of the company was its website. So Goetz put his marketing skills to work, optimizing the site for search engines, SEO. Soon, when you searched for organic frozen popsicles or organic popsicles, because there wasn't anything that existed at the time, GoodPop was actually the #1 result, he said. A week later, a marketing firm called Manifold asked GoodPop for a quote for 50,000 organic popsicles in full packaging. Goetz bid and won. Manifold paid $80,000 for the partnership, and paid half up front so he could cover production costs. I stamped every popsicle myself, Goetz says. The other half was pure profit, putting GoodPop back in business. Another stroke of luck landed GoodPop its first major retail partner. Goetz's roommate played recreational soccer with a Whole Foods employee, who introduced him to a representative from the grocery chain's Southwest Regional Office. Goetz brought in some samples and got the rep to sell them in individual Whole Foods stores. I drove 212.000 miles in my Toyota, driving all over Texas, delivering for years, Goetz said, adding that doing it by hand often left him completely exhausted. By 2014, GoodPop's products had become such a top seller that Whole Foods took over distribution for the Southwest and Rocky Mountain regions, meaning Goetz no longer had to deliver himself. That year, GoodPop brought in $1.3 million in gross revenue. The company said, in 2017, Whole Foods expanded GoodPop nationwide. The brand entered Walmart and Costco the following year, doubled down amid massive competition. The U.S. popsicle market is expected to be worth more than $1.3 billion by 2024, according to estimates from Cognitive Market Research. That makes GoodPop a small player in a market dominated by giant packaged goods companies. Unilever, the world's largest ice cream maker, is expected to generate more than $9.5 billion in revenue by 2024 from frozen dessert brands like Magnum, Ben & Jerry's, and the original popsicle. Even among real fruit-based popsicles, GoodPop competes with brands like Outshine, owned by a joint venture between Nestlé and French private equity firm Pay Partners, and New York-based Chloe's, which sells low-sugar fruit popsicles in more than 10,000 stores nationwide, including Walmart and Wegmans. They all face an uphill climb in convincing more Americans to buy less sugary desserts. In January, GoodPop discontinued a line of low-sugar drinks, which mix fruit juice with sparkling water, after customers said their kids didn't think the drinks were sweet enough. "We don't want to compromise on any added sugars or sweeteners," Goetz said, adding, "We're going to have some tough times ahead of us, in terms of resetting taste buds, but it's a worthy cause." Ultimately, Goetz's goal since college remains the same, to get GoodPop desserts into the hands of as many new people as possible. In February, the company signed a licensing deal with the Walt Disney Company, adding Star Wars and Mickey Mouse-themed products to GoodPop's lineup, a new strategy for the company to grab consumers' attention. "The future is about doubling down on what can be done to make a product great," says Goetz.